Dad Quiet Revenge. My son told me the monthly arrangement wasn't covering their actual costs on the night of my 58th birthday. The words came right after the waiter brought our entrees at Romano's Steakhouse downtown. Marshall said it like he was discussing a business contract, not talking to his father who'd helped save his trucking company just 4 years earlier. My name is Curtis Brennan. I'm 58, a retired mechanical engineer who spent 32 years designing HVAC systems for commercial buildings. After my wife Helen died from cancer 4 years ago, I thought I'd figured out the next chapter of my life pretty well. Shows you how wrong a guy can be. Before that dinner conversation, everything seemed to be working fine. I'd been living in Marshall and Beverly's house in the Riverside subdivision for almost 4 years now. The spare bedroom down the hall from their master suite had become my space. Every month when my pension check arrived, I transferred $1,400 to help with their mortgage and household bills. It felt like a reasonable family arrangement at the time. The evening started normal enough. Marshall suggested we celebrate my birthday at Romano's, the steakhouse near the River District. The place was busy for a Tuesday night, filled with couples and families talking over their meals. Beverly ordered the salmon. Marshall studied the wine list before settling on a bottle of red. I went with the ribeye medium rare. We talked about ordinary things for the first half hour. Marshall's trucking business was picking up some steady contracts. Beverly's bookkeeping work was staying busy. Their kids, my grandchildren, were doing well in school. Normal family dinner conversation. Then Marshall cleared his throat and glanced at Beverly. "Dad, there's something we need to discuss tonight." I set down my fork and looked at him. "Go ahead. The financial situation at the house has gotten more complicated than we expected," he said. Beverly nodded beside him, her expression serious. Marshall continued, "The mortgage has gone up. Property taxes increased. Everything's more expensive now." I listened without interrupting. As an engineer, I'm used to hearing problems laid out completely before jumping to solutions. "Your monthly contribution has been helpful," Beverly added, "but it's not covering the actual costs of having you live with us." Marshall leaned forward slightly. "The monthly arrangement needs to be more realistic about what this housing situation actually costs." That's when he said it. "Your pension contribution needs to cover more of our actual expenses." Beverly added, "We're basically subsidizing your housing here, and it's not sustainable for us financially." For a moment, I just sat there processing what I'd heard. Not anger exactly, more like the feeling you get when you realize an engineering calculation you'd trusted turns out to be completely wrong. "Subsidizing," I repeated. "Well," Beverly said, not quite meeting my eyes, "that's essentially what the arrangement has become." I took a sip of water and set the glass back on the table. Then I said something that changed the conversation completely. "That's interesting timing," I said, "because I closed on my own place last week." Both of them stared at me. Marshall blinked twice. "You what?" "I bought a house, small place over near Maple Grove. Signed the papers on Friday." The silence at our table felt different now. Beverly recovered first. "When were you planning to tell us about this?" "I hadn't decided yet," I said. "I wanted to see how tonight's conversation went." Marshall rubbed his forehead. "You bought a house without mentioning it to us." "I did, just like you two have been discussing my living situation without mentioning it to me." His expression tightened. "What do you mean by that?" "I heard the conversation in your kitchen about 6 weeks ago, when you came home early from your business meeting and thought I was still at my veterans group." Marshall and Beverly exchanged a look. Beverly asked quietly, "What conversation?" "The one where you calculated that my $400 monthly payment was covering your mortgage shortfall. Where you discussed what would happen if my pension stopped helping with your house payment." Neither of them spoke for a moment. Marshall finally said, "That wasn't. We weren't talking about kicking you out." "No," I said, "you were talking about increasing my monthly payment to cover more of your expenses." "Which is exactly what happened tonight." Beverly shifted in her chair. "We were just trying to be realistic about the financial situation." "I understand that," I said. "And I've been realistic too, which is why I spent the last 6 weeks looking at houses." The rest of that dinner moved slowly. Marshall asked when I was planning to move. I told him within the next 2 weeks. Beverly wanted to know why I hadn't talked to them first. I explained that I'd learned more about my situation by listening than I would have by talking. "I thought we were helping each other," Marshall said as we waited for the check. "We were," I told him. "For 4 years, my pension helped you keep your house while you got the trucking business stable. But something changed in how you viewed that arrangement, and now it's time for me to move on." The decision to buy that house had actually started 6 weeks earlier, after I overheard that kitchen conversation. I'd come home early from my Tuesday veterans group meeting at the VFW. The monthly gathering had ended an hour early because our guest speaker canceled last minute. I walked into Marshall's house through the side door that leads into the laundry room. The house was quiet, but I could hear voices coming from the kitchen. Not loud conversation, but the kind of focused discussion people have when they're working through numbers. I stopped in the hallway without meaning to. Beverly was saying, "I've run through the calculations again. The mortgage payment, utilities, property taxes, it doesn't work without his contribution." Marshall's voice, "How much are we short?" "About $800 monthly. That's with his $1,400 covering the gap." There was a pause. Then Marshall said, "So if Dad's pension wasn't helping with the mortgage, we'd have to restructure everything." Beverly finished, "Maybe refinance, maybe downsize." I don't know. I stood there listening, feeling something shift in my understanding of the last 4 years. Beverly continued, "We need to think about this more strategically. His monthly payment could cover more than just the mortgage gap." "Like what?" "Utilities, groceries, maintenance costs. If we're providing housing, it should cover actual housing costs." Marshall was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "That makes sense from a business perspective." "Exactly. It's not sustainable otherwise." I walked back to my room quietly, closing the door without letting them know I'd heard anything. But that conversation stayed with me. For the first time in 4 years, I started questioning whether I understood my living situation correctly. The house I'd sold when Helen died sat about 3 miles away in the Oakwood neighborhood. Marshall had grown up in that house. I'd lived there for 28 years. When Marshall's trucking business hit financial trouble 4 years ago, he came over one afternoon and sat at my kitchen table looking defeated. "The bank's not giving me much time," he'd said. "I need about $65,000 to keep everything from falling apart." I asked him how serious the situation was. He pulled out a folder full of papers, loan documents, payment schedules, business account statements. It was bad. The trucking company he'd started 3 years earlier was hemorrhaging money, and the commercial loans were coming due. "You shouldn't be living alone in this house anyway," he'd said. "It's too much maintenance for one person." I looked around the kitchen, where Helen and I had shared thousands of meals. He wasn't wrong about the maintenance, but that wasn't the real issue. "What are you suggesting?" I asked. "Move in with us. You could sell this place, help me clear the debts, and we'd all be under one roof." Beverly thinks it's a good idea. The house sold for $122,000 after taxes and realtor fees. I netted about $155,000. I used $65,000 to help Marshall settle his business debts. The rest went into a conservative investment account. Moving into their spare bedroom felt temporary at first. I helped with groceries, watched the grandkids when needed, and contributed $1,400 monthly toward household expenses. For 3 years, it worked fine. I had my space, they had financial breathing room, and the family stayed close. But after that kitchen conversation 6 weeks ago, I started paying attention differently. Small changes became obvious once I knew what to listen for. Beverly stopped calling my monthly payment a contribution and started referring to it as covering housing costs. She mentioned that utilities had gone up and suggested I add another $200 monthly. When I asked what had changed, she said everything was more expensive now. A week later, Beverly asked if I had plans for after my birthday. "Just curious," she said, but the question didn't feel casual. Marshall started working later, spending more time in his home office. When I tried to ask about the business, he gave short answers and went back to his computer. Nothing felt hostile, but the tone had shifted. I was no longer simply Marshall's father living with family. I'd become a line item in their monthly budget. That's when I started making quiet decisions of my own. One morning after my veterans group meeting, I drove to a real estate office near downtown. The agent, a woman named Joyce Reynolds, asked what kind of place I was looking for. "Something small," I said. "Just for me?" When I told her my budget, she raised her eyebrows slightly. "That's enough for a nice little place in Maple Grove or Forest Hills, especially if you don't need anything large." We looked at 4 houses over the next 2 weeks. The third one felt right, a small ranch-style house with 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, and a garage. The neighborhood was quiet, mostly retirees and empty nesters like me. The house needed minor updates, but nothing I couldn't handle. "Most people your age look for condos," Joyce said as we walked through the kitchen. "I've had houses my whole life," I told her. "I prefer having my own space, my own front door." She smiled. "That makes sense." At the 4th house, Joyce stopped near the kitchen counter and looked at me directly. "You're not buying this as an investment, are you?" "No, I'm buying it to live in." "Then the question is simple," she said. "Does it feel like somewhere you could start over?" I didn't answer right away, but I already knew. The small ranch house felt like independence, not just shelter. The paperwork moved faster than I expected. Within a week, we were sitting across from a closing agent at a long table covered with documents. "Once these are signed," the closing agent said, sliding papers toward me, "the property transfers to you." Joyce leaned closer and asked quietly, "You're sure about this?" "Yes," I said, signing each page carefully. When the agent slid the house keys across the table, Joyce asked, "Are you going to tell your family right away?" "Not yet." Why not? Because I want to see what they do when they think nothing has changed. She studied my face for a moment. That's fair enough. I drove back to Marshall's house with the keys in my pocket. For 2 weeks, no one knew anything had changed. But the difference was sitting quietly in my jacket. Waiting, about a week after I signed the papers, Marshall mentioned my birthday. We were standing in the kitchen one evening while Beverly loaded the dishwasher. "We should take you out for dinner," he said. "Your 58th deserves something nice." Beverly dried her hands and turned around. "There's that steakhouse downtown we've been wanting to try." Her tone was warmer than it had been in weeks. For months, most of our conversations had been about expenses or logistics. The sudden enthusiasm felt rehearsed. "Sounds fine," I said. "Saturday evening," Marshall said quickly. "I'll make a reservation. It'll be good to talk." Beverly added. Marshall nodded when she said that, but he didn't meet my eyes. That phrase stuck with me. Good to talk. I didn't need to ask what she meant. So when Saturday evening arrived and Marshall suggested Romano's Steakhouse, I got in their car without hesitation. Whatever they'd planned to discuss, I was ready to hear it. The conversation after my revelation at the restaurant moved carefully. Marshall asked practical questions about the move. Beverly wanted to know about timing. Both seemed relieved that they wouldn't have to help me figure out next steps. "I thought we'd have to help you transition to something else." Marshall said as we waited for the check. "I've already transitioned," I said. He looked down at the table. "I didn't realize you were making plans. I've been considering options for a while now." Beverly folded her napkin. "So this works out for everyone." "It does," I said. The waiter brought the check. Marshall reached for his wallet, but I picked up the bill first. "This one's on me," I said, pulling out my credit card. Marshall started to protest. "Dad, you don't need to. It's my birthday dinner," I said. "Seems appropriate." Beverly glanced between us. "When exactly are you planning to move?" "Next Thursday," I said. "The house is ready now." Marshall nodded slowly. "That's soon. Joyce helped me arrange everything. Professional movers, utilities transferred, mail forwarded. All set." "Joyce?" Beverly asked. "My real estate agent. She's been very helpful." The waiter returned with the receipt. I signed it and stood up, ready to head home. The drive back to Marshall's house was quiet. When we pulled into the driveway, Beverly said, "Well, congratulations on the new place." "Thank you," I said. Marshall turned off the engine but didn't get out immediately. "Dad, about tonight, the conversation didn't go how I expected." "I know," I said. "We weren't trying to—" He started, then stopped. "I understand what you were trying to do," I said, "and I understand why you needed to do it. Sometimes family situations change, and people have to adapt." He looked at me. "Is that what this is? Adapting?" "That's exactly what it is." We all got out of the car and walked toward the house. At the front door, Beverly said, "Do you need help packing anything?" "Not much to pack," I said. "Most of my things are still in storage from when I sold the old house." Marshall unlocked the door. "The furniture in your room came with the house when I moved in," I said. "It can stay." We stood in the entryway for a moment. Beverly looked around the living room. "It's going to feel different with you not here." "Different doesn't necessarily mean bad," I said. Marshall ran his hand through his hair. "I keep feeling like I should apologize for something, but I'm not sure what." "You don't need to apologize for being honest about your financial situation," I said. "And I don't need to apologize for responding to that honesty." Beverly nodded slowly. "So we're okay?" "We're fine," I said. "We're family. This is just a change in living arrangements." That night, I lay in the spare bedroom one last time, thinking about the conversation at dinner. Marshall and Beverly had been surprised by my announcement, but not upset. If anything, they seemed relieved that the problem they'd been trying to solve had solved itself. The next few days passed quickly. I spent Tuesday afternoon at the new house, measuring windows for curtains and checking that all the utilities were working properly. The place felt bigger when it was empty, but it had good bones, solid construction, well-maintained systems. As an engineer, I appreciated houses built right. Wednesday evening, I started gathering my personal items. 2 suitcases of clothes, a box of books, some photographs from Helen. Not much accumulated stuff for a man my age, but Helen and I had always lived simply. Marshall found me packing the books. He stood in the doorway watching me wrap picture frames in newspaper. "You sure about this timing?" he asked. "I'm sure. Moving on a Thursday seems random. Joyce suggested it says Thursday moves are easier to schedule, and I'll have the weekend to settle in." He sat down on the bed. "I've been thinking about what we talked about at dinner." I kept packing. "What about it? The monthly payment arrangement. We never really discussed what it was supposed to be." "No, we didn't. I think we both had different ideas about it from the start." I looked at him. "What did you think it was, honestly?" "At first, I thought it was family helping family. You needed a place to live. We needed help with expenses. Everybody wins." And later, he was quiet for a moment. Later, Beverly started running numbers. She's good with finances, better than me. She showed me how much it actually costs to have another person in the house. Utilities, groceries, wear and tear. The $1,400 was covering the mortgage gap, but there were other expenses. So it became a business arrangement. I guess it did, but I didn't plan for that to happen. I sat down in the chair across from him. Marshall, you're 35 years old running a business and supporting a family. You have to think about money. There's nothing wrong with that. But you're my father. That's exactly why you should be honest with me about money. I'd rather know where I stand than guess. He nodded slowly. The house is going to be quieter without you. Probably easier too. No extra laundry, no scheduling around my veteran meetings, no working around someone else's routine. Maybe, he said, but the kids will miss having Grandpa down the hall. They can visit the new house. It's only 15 minutes away. Marshall smiled for the first time that week. They'd like that, their own grandfather's house to visit. Exactly. And you and Beverly can visit too when you want to. On your terms, not because we're sharing a mortgage. He stood up. Need help with anything else? I think I'm about done here. He looked around the room. It's weird how fast things change. Sometimes fast is better than slow, I said. Like removing a bandage. Is that what this was? A bandage? No, I said. This was family adapting to changed circumstances. Nothing wrong with that. Thursday morning arrived gray and overcast, typical for late October. The moving truck pulled up at 9 a.m. sharp. 2 guys in their 40s, professional and efficient. They had my belongings loaded in less than an hour. Marshall helped carry the last box to the truck. You travel light for someone who lived in one place 28 years. Helen and I never accumulated much stuff. We preferred experiences over things. He nodded. I remember her saying that. Beverly came outside as the movers finished securing the load. She handed me a small wrapped package, just something for the new place. I opened it. A coffee mug with World's Best Grandpa printed on the side. Simple, but thoughtful. Thank you, I said. I'll use it every morning. She smiled. The kids picked it out. Marshall walked over to us. You sure you don't want us to come help you unpack? I'm sure this is something I need to do myself. We stood there for a moment, 3 people who'd shared a house for 4 years, now figuring out how to say goodbye without making it dramatic. You'll call if you need anything, Beverly asked. I will. And you'll bring the kids by sometime next week? Saturday afternoon? Marshall suggested they'd love to see your new place. Perfect. The lead mover called out that they were ready to go. I shook hands with Marshall, hugged Beverly briefly, and got into my car to follow the truck to Maple Grove. The house felt different with my belongings in it. Not just because it was furnished now, but because it was officially mine. No shared mortgage, no monthly contributions to someone else's budget, no calculations about who owed what for utilities. The movers finished unloading by noon. I tipped them and watched the truck disappear down Elm Street. Then I stood in my empty living room, surrounded by boxes, and felt something I hadn't experienced in 4 years. Complete independence. I spent the afternoon unpacking systematically room by room. Engineering habits die hard. Books went on the built-in shelves in the spare bedroom. Clothes in the master bedroom closet. Kitchen items and cabinets that were now mine to organize however I wanted. Around 4 p.m., I took a break and walked through the neighborhood. Maple Grove was exactly what Joyce had described. Quiet streets, well-maintained houses, people my age working in their yards or walking dogs. A retired teacher named Frank introduced himself from his front porch. A widow named Dorothy was tending flowers in her side yard and waved hello. You're the new owner of the Patterson house, she said, walking over to the property line. Welcome to the neighborhood, Curtis Brennan, I said, extending my hand. Dorothy Miller, lived here 12 years now. You'll like it here. Quiet area. Good people. That's what I'm hoping for. Where'd you move from? About 15 minutes away. Lived with my son's family for a while after my wife passed. She nodded knowingly. That can be complicated. It was time for everyone to have their own space again. Usually is, she said. You need anything? Recommend a good handyman. Know where the best grocery store is. Just knock on the door. I appreciate that. That evening, I ordered pizza and ate it at my new kitchen table while sorting through mail forwarding paperwork. Simple tasks, but satisfying in a way I hadn't expected. No one was calculating how much the pizza cost against household expenses. No one needed to know what time I planned to eat or whether I wanted company. Around 8 p.m., my phone rang. Marshall, how's the first day going? He asked. Good. Quiet. Getting settled. The house feels different already, bigger, but also emptier. That's normal, you'll adjust. Beverly's already talking about turning your room into a home office. That's a good idea. She's been working at the kitchen table too long. Marshall was quiet for a moment. Dad, I keep thinking I should have handled the money conversation differently. How so? I don't know. More diplomatically, maybe. Marshall, you told me the truth about your financial situation. That's not something to apologize for. but the way I said it. You said it like a businessman talking to another businessman. Given that we were discussing a business arrangement that seems appropriate, he laughed a little. You're being pretty understanding about this whole thing. I'm 58 years old. I've learned that family relationships work better when everyone's honest about their needs and expectations. Is that what we failed at? Being honest? I thought about that. We weren't dishonest. We just operated from different assumptions without checking whether we were on the same page. And now we're on the same page. You needed me to contribute more financially, and I needed my own space. Both problems solved. You make it sound simple. Sometimes things are simpler than we make them. We talked for a few more minutes about practical things, mail forwarding, the kids' school schedules when they'd visit, normal family conversation, but different now. No undercurrent of financial tension, no unspoken calculations about who owed what for shared expenses. After we hung up, I finished unpacking the kitchen and made my first pot of coffee in the new house. I sat in the living room with a cup, looking around at furniture that was mine in a space that was completely under my control. A week later, Marshall brought the kids over on Saturday afternoon. They ran through the house exploring while he and I sat on the back deck talking about his trucking contracts. Business is picking up, he said. That new client in Charleston is working out well. Good to hear. Financial pressure off. Getting there. Having the extra $4,400 monthly helps with other things now that the mortgage situation is stable. Such as Beverly wants to take some accounting courses, expand her business, and we're thinking about finishing the basement for the kids. I nodded. Sounds like good plans. What about you? Any plans for retirement? I'm thinking about volunteering more with the veterans group. Maybe teach some basic engineering skills at the community college. That sounds perfect for you. The kids ran onto the deck, excited about the treehouse possibilities in my backyard oak tree. We spent the rest of the afternoon talking about construction plans and rope swings. When they left that evening, I stood in my driveway watching their car disappear down Elm Street. The house was quiet again, but it was a different kind of quiet. Peaceful rather than tense, independent rather than dependent. If there's one thing I learned through all of this, it's that family support should come from respect, not financial necessity. When someone starts viewing your presence as a budget calculation rather than a family relationship, it's time to recalculate the entire arrangement. For any guy who's ever felt like his family was treating him more like a resource than a relative, you probably understand what that realization feels like. Sometimes the best way to preserve family relationships is to make sure they're built on choice rather than obligation. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do is give everyone the space to choose the relationship they actually want, rather than the one they feel obligated to maintain. Sometimes the greatest gift you can give your family is showing them that love doesn't require financial dependence. It thrives when everyone has the dignity of standing on their own 2 feet. Real family bonds aren't measured by monthly contributions or shared mortgages, but by the respect you maintain when everyone is free to choose the relationship they actually want.